Welcome to the Through the Lens of Learning podcast. If we haven't met, hello, I'm your host, Dr. Tracy Schroyer. I'll give you 2 words that summarize me to a T: lifelong learner. Join me as I share a bit about my own journey of curiosity, learning, and wonder. You'll also get to hear from some phenomenal individuals on what they're curious about learning and what they have to share too. Are you itching with excitement yet? I am, so let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Through the Lens of Learning podcast. And today I have guest with me, Kate McCauley. So welcome, Kate.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we are going to just jump right in. So the first thing I like to ask my guest is, Kate, how do you define learning?
Sure. So thinking about this, I really think that learning is acquiring of new knowledge, but there's 3 things that I would say for myself, my own children, my students that I've worked with over the years, and currently women I serve through clients, that 3 things during the learning journey really are the mindset that you can believe that you can do it, that mindset. And that takes some work. But, the whole idea of, yes, I can do something helps you get, on that path to learning something new. Secondly, that you have a strategy. Sometimes someone needs to help you with that. It could be, an online thing. It could be a book. It could be an educator. So there's lots of different ways to get the strategy part, but that's the second part. And then the third part is that you don't quit. You have someone to keep you accountable, to keep pushing through, because learning sometimes can be tough. And I think that third part is also, for me anyway, and everyone I work with and myself, that the idea of a growth mindset is really how you keep going in that process of learning something new.
Absolutely. You're speaking to my heart there, all of those.
Good.
So one thing I want to ask you too, because some people that are listening are probably more in that tactical mindset of, okay, what do I have to do? When do I have to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And they struggle with strategy. So
Right.
Do you have any tips or advice, or maybe even explaining what strategy is for those individuals that may not understand that and how they can jump into that?
Sure. So it's really a roadmap to success. So it's, whatever it is that you want to learn, if you're my son learning to read, a little guy learning to walk, the people I work with, they're learning to shift to love themselves more. If you're learning to learn a new language, whatever it is that you're wanting to learn, that strategy is a roadmap and steps to get there. So, you have to have a starting point. You have to say, okay, these are our goals along the way, baby steps. And you can't just expect to, all right, I want to learn a new language and then tomorrow I'm fluent. You have to have that strategy to get there. And it looks different for everyone, which is okay. There's probably some similarities if we're both trying to learn Spanish, for example. Mm-hmm. But I may learn a little bit differently than you, which is great. And you have to find that perfect person or tool, roadmap, strategy that can guide you along the way. Whether if sometimes you could do things on your own, but you do sometimes need someone to help you through those steps of the strategy. So I would say a strategy really is just a roadmap, steps to get to your big goal, and celebrate in between those little baby goals that you achieve.
Yeah, celebration of those, those, we may think they're small and insignificant wins, but they are huge, like in the eyes of somebody else, especially. Even being
Absolutely.
able to get one of those milestones could be huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Kate, we are here really today to talk more about your learning journey.
Sure.
And I tell guests even before we jump on, and I try to put that on the website too, is I don't know a lot about you just from what you put in your form. I try not to peek too much into like websites or social media until after, because I like to get curious and be able to have those questions come naturally. But Kate, do you want to start to tell us a little bit more about your learning journey?
Absolutely. So I am a lifelong learner. I come from a long line of educators and just people in my family who are constantly promoting and love to learn new things. And I am so grateful for that, because that's really where my journey started, that I had a lot of those voices in the background saying, try something new. So I went to Penn State. That's kind of where we could go way back, but we're going to go start at Penn State. Okay. And I have a degree in kinesiology and teacher prep through there. And while I was an educator, I was a health and physical educator for 20 years. And during that time, I also got my master's degree from Temple. And that was related to education and technology a little bit with the education portion of that master's program. I have taken, I think it's 45 post-credit classes just related to my teaching career on a whole bunch of different things to really meet the needs of my students and just learn new things for myself. I was in an urban school district, so there's a lot of different needs that those students bring to the building. And a lot of my coursework was related to trauma and, maybe there was some gang activity, different classes that I took related to that. So I just wanted to help them the best that I could. So I just kept taking more courses. So, and I believe it's about 45 credits, probably more if I go back and look.
What age range were the students that you were teaching?
So I first started in the elementary level, and it was kindergarten through 5th grade. Then they transitioned kindergarten to 8th grade. I was there for 5 years. And then a teacher retired at our high school in the district, and they talked me into going up to the high school level. My mom was actually a biology teacher in the same building at that high school. So I was, okay, I'll go. Let me try something new. And then I was there for 15 years at the high school up until last April. I resigned to work full time in my wellness company now. So yeah, it was a big range. I actually loved all of those age groups. There was something special about the little kindergartners. And then, middle school could get crazy, but I loved those kids. They loved to learn. They were still wanting to learn, even though they might have been pretending like they were too cool sometimes. And then the high schoolers, it was just a totally different dynamic, obviously, than my little elementary guys. But they were now opening up the idea of more having their own view of the world, which made it a wonderful experience for me to help them on that journey, because it was exciting always to see them think ahead to where they were headed and also continue to learn with me at that moment. So it was pretty cool that I was lucky to be K to 12 really through my career.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And so you said you left last April?
I did. Last April, I resigned. So before that, there's a couple more things in my learning journey. I decided when the pandemic hit, although I absolutely loved my students, there was a lot of toxic factors that were playing into the district that I worked in. And I desperately tried to solve those problems. And then I finally realized that I cannot change other people's behaviors, even if I was like, let's try this. They just maybe nodded their head and okay, Kate, sure, great idea. Right. But it just did not happen. So when the pandemic hit, I was working from home, literally flying the plane as I was building it, as all educators were. Right. And I realized that although I was working harder, then, I was always a hard worker, but I was working harder because I was learning a whole new way to teach. I wasn't having the symptoms from that toxic environment. So my eye used to twitch and I would have headaches. I would drive home in silence so that I would not have an explosion of like just stress overflowing to my husband and my children when it was homework time for them and just dinner and sports. So I realized this isn't happening anymore. And in the back of my head, I was thinking I needed an exit strategy. So in that spring into summer, I then became certified as a health coach through the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute. And at first I thought, okay, maybe this is something I'll do if I decide, on the side of my teaching career. One thing led to another. The virtual learning continued into the next school year. My littlest guy, I have 3 children. My littlest has some very unique learning needs. And therefore, I have learned alongside of him, one being dyslexia. He is severely dyslexic. And he was home the whole time virtual because I was teaching upstairs. We had a combination of a bunch of learners here. But
it's a lot.
It is a lot. But in the end, my school district that April said, we originally were going to stay home according to the school district. So then my son's district said, you have to make a decision. Are they staying home? Are they coming hybrid? So I said, you know what? My district's staying home. He's thriving. I'm his one-on-one in between teaching, it was working. And he was the rare child who was succeeding during this virtual learning environment. So I said, okay, you know what? To his school district, I signed the paper. He'll be home, for the rest of this year. He'll be back in the fall. So then my district said, never mind. We are coming back. We didn't fill out paperwork. This was a couple weeks after I had made this decision, but the teachers or the students aren't coming back. It's just the teachers. I know, I see your face. It's the teachers. And if the students show up for the state testing, it was total mayhem. So at that moment, I had to make a decision. Am I going to then now transition my son, who's really thriving, and send him back? And, the district probably would have let me if I pushed them. Like, I know I said no, but so then I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I did tell my school district, I would love to continue teaching with my students. I will finish the school year, virtually. Really, I'm virtual anyway. I'm just sitting at my house as opposed to the building. And they said no, they had a whole bunch of random reasons why. So I resigned, and I was working with some health coaching clients on the side, thinking this is a fun thing to do. And then I jumped in wholeheartedly. And yeah, I've been taking some more courses related to mindfulness and breathing work and things like that. So I'm always learning.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot going on. I've heard of a lot of teachers leaving their roles in the pandemic for numerous different factors.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you for taking that step, because that's scary.
Oh, it is very scary. There has been a lot of tears. I am doing well now, but there's still, that fear of, did I make the right decision? And really, who are you to leave education after 20 years, But thank you. I appreciate that. And it's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people, when they're looking on social media or they're seeing somebody's website or something like that, they're seeing the positive, all the good. They're not seeing the scary, the vulnerability, those different things that happen along the way.
You're right.
So let's talk about when you decided to leave and jump into the health coaching. Were there certain things that you did to try to set yourself up for success? It sounds like that transition was pretty quick.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was very quick. I have found that, well, I've learned along the way, but that jumping in forced me to find ways to be successful, because I have said to myself, there is no option B. You're probably familiar, and maybe some of your listeners are, but as a 20-year educator, I couldn't just go to a different district. I would lose my years of service. They would give me my master's plus all those 45 credits, but I would be going in as maybe a third-year teacher, which makes a huge difference financially. And also, I was a phenomenal teacher. I put my heart and soul into everything I did when I was there. I'm just not willing to go back to, that first, second, maybe third year, if the district is generous, income, because I have a family. I need to support them. So there was really no option B for me. I went jumping in, and what I did was I first tried to do it on my own, and I was like hoping and praying that it would work. And then I realized I need some guidance, just like I was telling you before with that strategy, and accountability. So I did find a fabulous business coach who I work with, and she has a program that I go through on my own, but also meet with her every month. And really that has helped me shift my mindset to believe that I can do this. And, to just, remind me that you said there's no option B. So you have to do it. So the business coach was huge for that. I would also say that getting on podcasts with people like you to share my story was really a big part of my success. So because, there's a lot of health coaches out there. So I have to say, why are you different, to the women I serve? And I do one-to-one, I do workshops and speaking engagements. And I have to, prove to everyone why are you better than the other people that we see on social media or wherever? So podcasts, I've also been writing. So I just got information that I'm going to be in Tiny Buddha, which is a blog that I follow. So things like that, just to say like, hey, here's Kate. This is what she does now. And then just reaching out to people and saying, this is what I do now, and that was hard. Like we talked about that fear part.
Yes.
That was hard, because I had a little bit of the imposter syndrome sneak in.
Mm-hmm.
And, people saying like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you left education. Are you serious?
Are you
So,
crazy? Probably some people thinking.
yes, I had some very interesting comments along the way. But once I had said to them, I just as a teacher, I jumped in with my full heart and soul. I gave to the school community, my students. I'm doing the same now for those I serve this way through my wellness company. Right. And every time I've told people what I do, exactly, I explain it, they are, willing to say, oh, I love that. That's great. But at first there's that, wait, what? And now that I put it out into the world, I am more confident. I used to say, well, I was an educator. And now I say, I am the CEO and founder of my company. It's been a mindset shift for myself.
Yes. That's what I was going to ask you too, about the whole mindset of during that transition and even now of, what that looked like for you and what you had to work through.
Yeah. So there's things I do every single day, actually, and like you were saying, behind the scenes, sometimes people don't see, they just look at the website and say like, oh, she gets to talk with this person, or she's working with these people at a workshop. Like, lucky her. Like, no, it's not.
It's hard work.
It's hard work behind there. But the mindset part of that, believing that I can, I have a board. I'm in my kitchen now because the office, we had a leak and it's new office coming. So I'm trying to be grateful, but I could show you, I have a board. If I was in there, I would show you that I have my morning affirmations that are written on there, so I am a 6-figure wellness business owner as one of them. I am a dream attractor for my, or I'm a super attractor for my dream clients, so, and I say these things to myself, and I have those types of things for all areas of my life. And I realized once I started doing it in a business way, I said, I do this for my own kids. I was doing this for students. I do it now with women I work with, but just to repeat those, because really your brain will believe what you feed it. And at first, you have to say like, all right, are you really this person? But once you start saying it over and over, I will say it when I'm in the shower, I'm driving, I will just repeat it, and it's just a part of my life now. So that is huge for me, that I do that. I also every day write down in a gratitude journal to try to focus on, where I am now and the different life I live now. My schedule is different, things like that. And how grateful I am to remind me to keep going, because some days there are tears and there are, I should just go do this instead. It would be much easier. But then that gratitude daily, and sometimes it's super simple that I just pop 3 things down. Some days I get a little bit deeper I squeeze it in on the line. But those 2 things definitely are part of my mindset every day.
Yes. That's awesome. It's so hard. So you mentioned the business coach. I have done that too.
Yeah.
I had just started my business. It was March of 2021.
Okay.
So I reached out. I needed that accountability. I needed that support. So that was huge. When you talk about reaching out and speaking on podcasts, I will tell you, I am an introvert. And I know introvert doesn't necessarily mean shy, but I was also very shy growing up. And probably until about 5 years ago, I was very, very shy, and I started to come out. And the whole reason I started this podcast is so I didn't have to go pitch myself to other people.
I love it.
Be able to bring people to me and be able to talk to people like you and be able to hear your story and kind of dig in and get curious.
That's a great way to go. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. So with what you've started to do with your coaching, one of the things that you mentioned was being able to set yourself apart, because I do feel like on any social media, there are a ton of health, fitness, mindset, all these different coaches. So what is the way, how did you figure out what is the way that you really set yourself apart? And I knew some of it you mentioned with the things that you do and the articles that you write in.
Right.
But when you're talking to people, how do you really sell that?
So really what I like to say the difference is I do not ever claim to be a guru or an expert in anything. I really am the guide on the side, and I tell every woman I work with one-to-one. My workshops are mixed groups of people. If I'm going to go speak with someone, I tell all of them, you know, I have traveled this path, and I have, done this work for myself. I've done a lot of training. That's all good and great. And I can list that for you. But really, all of the answers are within you. And I am the guide on the side to help you get there. I don't claim to be the expert. In fact, I am always evolving, and always learning, like we were just talking about. And when I learn something new, if I think it will help someone or add it into a workshop, I'll say, well, I found this great new thing, and I just honestly, I just say, the answers are within you. They really are. And you just have to learn to tap into them. And I am the person to guide you on that path. You're looking across the river there, your dreams are on the other side. I want to help you build the bridge. I want to help you hold your hand. And if you fall in, I'm going to pull you out and say, you know what? No, like you wanted this, we're going to do this. And I don't ever claim to give a magic pill. Some people, I have had to turn a couple people away who, because my signature program, one-to-one, specifically workshops, I've never had this issue, but one-to-one, I've had to turn a couple people away just because they want that magic pill that some of the health coaches out there are saying, I guarantee that you will be super fit and I can help you get to your goals, but I am not the health coach that is going to turn you into some magic type of thing. That I am really just all about mindset, mindful eating, mindful communication, mindful listening. They lose weight along the way. They shift their mindset and start having that positive self-talk. And it's not like that the negative doesn't creep in. And I tell them it's okay to feel all of your emotions. The idea of after you work with me, it's all sunshine and rainbows is nothing. That's not true. That's nothing I say ever in a discovery call or if, I'm working with a client. And so I keep it real, I think. And that's every woman I work with coaching anyway, one-to-one, they will say, you know what? I feel like you and I connect, that like we've been friends forever or whatever, because I'm not trying to be, and good for the people that are selling those magic pills, maybe, but I'm just not that girl. That's not me. So
yeah. And my husband has lost a lot of weight, and somebody asked him, like, what, are you taking some kind of pill or something? He goes,
right.
Yeah, it's a pill called willpower. And I'm
there
like,
you go.
But some people just, they don't have the mindset. They can't switch. They're not ready to do that hard work. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that when I hear you and other coaches say, I'm not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we're not a match, because that's so true.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that's hard as a business owner because you obviously want to make money and you want to be successful, but it just wouldn't be fair to the people who, I chat with to say, yes, let me take your money and let's do this, because they want me to do something that it's not what I do, so, and it's okay that we're not for everyone, that's just life.
Yeah. So let me ask you, since you've been doing your health coaching, and it sounds like health coach isn't even the right role
I know.
for you. You're so much more than that. I can tell already.
I need to change it, goddess. I don't know. I actually have been thinking about that lately. I'm like, is that what I should say I am? But it's tough. I like a wellness business owner. I don't know. I gotta explore that.
So in working with your clients since you launched your business, is there maybe one or two things that you have learned specifically from your clients, maybe themes that you see come through from your clients that have helped you?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So I would say that for the one-to-one and the workshops, the small workshops too, that I work with mostly women, and most women say to me that they want to go back to the woman that they used to be, and I would say age-wise, who I work with is primarily 30-ish. There's a couple younger people in workshops sometimes, 30s to like 60s. And they want to really go back to that woman they used to be. They would say like, I used to be really happy, or I used to always love to, move my muscles and take a walk or exercise, or I used to, eat well, but now I'm so busy with the kids. And they just want to go back to where they were before. But they also want this version of themselves now, which is good. You don't want to, say like what you have now is not a positive thing. So they want a mix of that, the girl, that young, happy girl, carefree, loved life and said, I am enough kind of stuff. And now they feel mom guilt, or they feel, like they've added some extra pounds on over the years and they just are not feeling okay about themselves. They want to be happier and healthier as a whole. So they want that combination, and it does happen. The transformation is pretty cool when it happens, and it's different for everyone. My one program is a 90-day program, and I would say most women get through the 90 days and they're in a great place. Some women need a little bit more time or a reset, so to speak, and we work a little longer. But I would say that when that shift happens, it's pretty cool to see, but it's always evolving, and the journey is unique for each woman. And it's not like, I like to tell people, the transformation is not one and done. After that 90-day program, you still are always working. It's just like, you can't go to the gym and then say, oh, that's great, I'm good now. Like I went one time, I did this one program to be more mindful about my life, and now I'm good. It's an ever evolving program, I guess, for yourself. But it's also not something that you have to be hardcore. This is my whole life. Once you get these skills, you can pull them out of the toolbox and say, all right, why am I, freaking out about this again? Let me use this tool that Kate gave me. Some of my clients will say, I hear your voice, so I don't want to say you're constantly having to improve yourself, because you have a lot of great qualities too, but you always do need to make sure that you show up for yourself, because you deserve to be happy and healthy.
Yeah. And there are small things that you can do each day versus always having to be huge.
Yes, absolutely.
And when you fall, you can get back up. It's not like, people don't make mistakes. And
and you can learn from that. What happened? What's going on in my life, and what can I do to fix it?
Right. So what is the 90-day program? I don't want you to give too much away from it, but can you share a little bit about what does that look like and what does it include?
Absolutely. So it's called Maximizing Your Mindset in 90 Days. And what it looks like is that I work with one-to-one clients. And then within that, I have a group. It's actually a Facebook group. And then I coach live in there too. So every week they're hearing my voice. And then they have individual coaching as well. But it's really, like I said earlier, that roadmap to transform so that you can be happier and healthier. And there's 8 steps of it. Each step, we start with our goals in the beginning, and then we flip your script of your self-talk. We talk about mindful eating, mindful moving, and it's really unique for each woman I work with. So if I'm thinking of a client I'm working with right now, she wants to start running. She wants to save some money, and she wants to be, in a different place by the time her wedding comes around. She has 2 little kids. This is a second marriage for her. She is, going in a certain direction. So we set her goals for her, and she'll kind of pop in our group and say, this is a roadblock for me. So I guide them along the way with that. And then we go through each step. And then by the time they get to the end, I send them the program. They have all of these tools that they can use. So some of them are, if you feel yourself self-doubt or limiting beliefs coming in, or, how can you be a mindful eater, specific little tools. For example, just to simply put your fork down and chew slower, things that, you would think, oh, why didn't I think of that? But it's little tools in their toolbox that they can use so that they can change their life. And I have found that most people I work with pick and choose what they love the best. We try it all, and then we say, okay, and then we modify it, because every woman is different. So I'll say, okay, well, if this isn't working, why don't we try to do it this way? And so that's what it is. And then obviously the coaching with me.
Awesome. So is that something that somebody can enter at any time?
It
Or
is.
okay.
Sometimes what I do is I'll say, all right, I'm going to start a 3-month session. I have been having people reach out to me, which is phenomenal. And I love that. So I bring them in as they come sometimes. I don't like to take too many because I want to make sure that each woman has my full, coaching experience. So I usually don't have more than 15 in a group. But so then if someone comes to me, and like right now I'm opening up to about probably 8 more. I have some people who are cycling out on different times. But if someone comes to me and says, Kate, I really want to do this, I'll probably let them in anyway. But I don't, I'm not going to have like hundreds of people in there because that's just be fair to them. And my style is I will give it everything. I really love everyone I work with. It's just who I am when I was an educator and now as a coach. And if I thought I couldn't give you the full experience, I would be like, all right, well, I have 2 people who are, almost done. So how about you start July 1st or whatever.
Be realistic about it.
Right. Yeah. Because I don't want them to feel like I can't get on Kate's, calendar or whatever. Right. So yeah, so that's kind of how I do it. And we have a discovery call first and we talk about what it is. And usually I get a vibe, they get a vibe for a good fit.
I can already think of a few people. That's why I'm asking you all the questions because I can see some people that could really benefit from that.
Awesome. I love that.
So you mentioned a couple other things. You mentioned workshops and do you do one-on-one outside of even the 90-day group or?
So I do one-on-one outside the 90 day. So I do have some clients who I do as a monthly package because they were like, I'm not sure if I want to do the 90 days. Usually what happens is after a month or two, they're like, I think I want to do the 90 days. I'm like, it's totally fine. We can like shift. I'll send you all of the program. But yes, I do monthly. And what that is we bi-weekly, either Zoom or I do it on the phone. Some of my clients are, running with their kids or coming home from work and they'd say, I would rather phone. I do whatever works best for them. But yeah, so I do monthly and it's similar to the 90 days, but I don't know if they move as quickly. But most of the women are like, it's okay, Kate. I just want to chat with you. And, we still work through their goals. But when you have the program, you can look at all of the areas, of the mindful eating, mindful communication, mindful listening, mindful moving, and you can, I tell them to go through each of the steps, but I did this too. When I do things, I look ahead and say, oh, well, I'm going to start, which is fine, but when they're in the monthly program, I give them some of these tools, but it's not the same because they're not looking at the whole thing. But I've had great success. I have one woman who she reached out to me when I just put it out on my personal email personal Facebook. And she has been with me since, I got the certification. Wow, and she just likes to check in and, her journey has evolved and it's awesome to see that shift and transformation for her. But she says, the times when she has stopped, she's like stopped like over like Christmas, like December, January. She's like, I think I'm good. And then she'll come back and be like, yeah, I'm back in February. So she likes to do it for the accountability piece that I am saying to her, like, are you doing this? Are you doing that? You told me you wanted to be, not exploding with the kids. How is it going? You said you wanted to go to the gym Monday and Wednesdays. Are you She needs that person to really say, are you doing it? And I also am a different viewpoint than it's like, I love talking with my mom and, my girlfriends and things like that, my mom friends, different people. And those perspectives are amazing. But sometimes people need somebody who is outside the circle.
Yes.
And they can give an honest, loving opinion still. But, like, hey, girl, maybe you want to try this or you're not being honest, when your best friend might say it, but might still sugarcoat it a little bit. And I love everyone I work with. I'm not, like a drill sergeant, but I do keep it real. So I think she needs that a little bit. So.
Yeah. And I feel like the accountability is huge for a lot of women right now within the age range you even mentioned. And then also, like you're talking about how, friends or family might say it a little bit differently. It's, I see some of the coaches that I've worked at challenge me. And it's like an unbiased
Oh, in a good way. Good.
Yeah, in a
Okay.
good way. And
Good.
it's challenged me to think differently, to take different action and things like that. And I think that's so helpful. That
I
kind
would
of thing.
agree. For me personally too, like our business coach, like you were talking about, you have a coach. My, close friends are like, you're doing great. This is great. And I am in some ways, but I need someone to say, have you done this? Have you done that?
Yes.
Because they do need to challenge you a little bit. And I think that's probably what my month-to-month clients keep coming back for.
Right. And to help keep focus too.
Yes.
To stay on the path, to stay with that
Mhm.
strategy that, we set out to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this is so good. Thank you, Kate, for joining
Yeah,
me.
it was great to chat.
I'm sure we have people who want to, and I can think of a handful already that would be great for your 90-day program, especially. But how would you recommend that if people want to connect with you or if they want to follow you, what are some of the best ways to do that?
Absolutely. So I joke, I'm not a social media influencer, but I like to be an impactor. So I do put stuff on Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram handle is health_coach_Danu. Danu. Danu is my company name. She's an Irish goddess. I can tell you more about that if we connect somewhere else. But I'm on Instagram, and then Facebook is just Danu LLC. Really, my website, if you go there, there's a freebie there. It's www.shop.danunow.com. I had to remember that whole thing there. And when you get there, there's a pop-up that says the 7 steps to happier and healthier. And that just is like a quick little thing where you could say, what are some things I could try right now? You can steal that and that'll go to your email. And then on there, there's also right on the front page, you can see all the fun stuff that I'm doing. And really, I'm living my purpose. I love it. I share on there on a certain page what I'm doing. But on the first page, you'll see free discovery call if they want to set up a call. Absolutely free. I don't charge for that. It's 30 minutes. And we just talk. I tell them what mindfulness is. I tell them a little bit more about the signature program. And then, I actually talk about the reticular activating system and how they can retrain their brain. And I give them a little trick on that discovery call. And I'll say, try this and see what happens. And then after the call, they'll be emailing me like, are you like a witch doctor or something? It's really just some
magic
research with the brain that I've done in classes on the study of the brain. So we do that on the call. And then, I just tell them details there so they can, see what's going on in my world. There's workshops and stuff there too. And if they wanted to, set up a workshop, I do it in schools. I do it for businesses. There's a community workshop. Sometimes it's in person and I'm in the Philadelphia area, but a lot of it is Zoom now. People will say, I want to do this. Can you jump on Zoom? And I've been all over the world. It's been
awesome.
That journey with being an educator. I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to learn to, teach online? And little did I know that it was guiding me to where I am right now, because people say, can you do this? And I said, oh, do you know? But yeah, so I guess those are the ways to connect with me. And then make sure that they tell me if it's somebody who listens to you, make sure that if they go to Instagram or whatever, pop a comment and say, oh, I saw you on this podcast or I heard you, because I always find people that I talk to on the podcast, I find, the women or men who are running the podcast, I say, well, if you know her, you probably have the same kind of vibe. We had a great chat, and then, so I like to know if somebody follows me from you, because then I say, oh, okay, you're kind of the same vibe that I am.
Yes. And I've already heard that happen too. I had somebody that was on my podcast a few episodes in, and she said, I just had somebody reach out to me and it was all because of the podcast.
Amazing. So yeah, I like to know that. And I, say, oh yeah, that was a great chat. It just gives me an idea of, where they're coming from a little bit.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you, Kate, again. And I will put all the links to contact you on in the description of the podcast so people can access that there as well.
Amazing. And thank you so much. I'm very grateful we were able to chat today.
Yes, definitely. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And we will see you on the next episode. This podcast is brought to you by Upskill University. You can find more information about how to become part of the Upskill community for free, this and other episodes of the Through the Lens of Learning podcast, and more on the website at www.upskilluniversity.com. Thanks again for listening and have an awesome day.